Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Gregory.
I'm Gregory Mason. Welcome to First Presbyterian Church for Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church's service. We'll start with some announcements, and we'll start with Carolyn.
Good morning, everybody. I am here representing the Stewardship Task Force, and I have a save the date for you. Up on our brand new bulletin board space is this flyer, and it says that we're hosting a chili dinner celebrating our pledging and thanking everyone in the congregation for their time and efforts in support of our ministry. This would be Friday, December 8th at 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be cooking. That's the Stewardship Committee is going to be cooking. You guys just show up and eat some good food. Friday, December 8th. Thanks.
We now have hearing assist devices in the back if anyone needs one. The deadline for Raise Right, formerly Scrip, is today. If you are filling out a paper copy, please give it to me. And if you need one, I have some over there by the hymnals. The Make Way for Liberty Wisconsin African Americans in the Civil War has been postponed to November 19th. It was supposed to happen today, but it's postponed to November 19th at 4 p.m. at Wayan AME Church on Memorial Drive. The OBUUC November birthday celebration is happening on November 15th at Asian Buffet Restaurant in Elmwood Plaza at 11 a.m. Any questions? Contact Andrea Bumpers or Diana Pavao. Next Sunday, our service will be downstairs in the social hall at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Downstairs.
At what time?
Okay. All are invited to bring a coffee hour treat. And if you drink tea, please bring a tea bag from home or pick one up in Erman Hall. Thank you to our volunteers today, our ushers, Pamela Smiley and Nancy Westman, coffee hour, Suzanne Landis, and our Zoom coffee hour host, Jody Spencer. For more information and details about these announcements, along with others and community announcements, see your weekly emails. Please join us for coffee hour following the service. For those joining us on YouTube, log into Zoom after the service for Joys and Concerns, along with coffee hour. The link is in today's email.
Welcome. Welcome to Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Danielle Lindstrom. My pronouns are she, hers, and it is good to be together. Let's start with a really big, deep breath. And let's do it like we did last week. So we're going to breathe in, and then any sound to just... Ready? Let's do it again. We're here. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and it is good. It is good. Welcome, friends. Welcome, new friends. Welcome, longtime friends. Welcome to our online friends. Welcome. I share these words from our congregation in Boulder in all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness. You are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Please do not leave your joys or your sorrows or pieces of yourself, your identity at the door. Bring all of that here with you, for this is one of the promises of our tradition. All of who you are is welcome in our co-created and shared sacred space. We will begin our service with shared ritual, lighting our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. Our chalice is going to be lit by Violet and Ellie. The flame we kindle in the chalice of faith holds blessings of warmth and light and life-giving energy. It shines forth a beacon to guide us all home. It lights up our longings to connect and to share. It possesses the power to shape a world where equity and compassion reign supreme. May this warmth and this light and this life-giving energy celebrate the blessings we have claimed and help us extend them in hands and hearts that offer blessings to all. Will you rise in body and spirit? Join us in singing hymn 1009, Meditation on Breathing.
And now it's time for the message for all ages. So if all the children and those young at heart can come on forward. To get myself ready here, I'm going to do something a little bit differently today. I guess I am going to stand. I thought I was going to be sitting. I know. So let's see what I have. 2 glasses of water. Thank you. So I have 2 glasses of water, and I have an egg. And my special little, everybody should have a little seat where they can store all their stuff. So, what's going to happen if I put this egg in the water? Anyone? If it's a good egg, that's true. Kira wanted me to let you know if it's a rotten egg, it'll do something different. So what's going to happen if it's a good egg? It will sink. So let's see. And there it sinks, doesn't it? So now, last week we talked about sadness. Do you remember when we talked about sadness and there was the blob? And then there was some different things that people could do when they felt sad. So how do we take care of ourselves when we feel sad? What are some things you can do? What can you do? Draw. That was one of the things, yep. What else? Listen to music, yep. Any other ideas what you can do when you feel sad, Kaylin? Take a nap. Any other ideas? Exercise, read a book. Yep. Give someone a hug. Garden. So those are, you have another idea? Go for a walk. Yep, go out into nature. So those are some really good ideas at what you can do when you are feeling sad. So when people feel sad, sometimes we say that they're sinking, kind of like this egg right here. And have any of you ever felt like that you're kind of sinking and you're kind of low? Raise your hand if you've ever felt like that. So when people feel like that, you gave me a whole bunch of ideas of things that you can do, right? If you saw somebody that was sad and sinking and low, what could you do to help them when you see somebody that's sad? Any ideas? You have an idea? What's an idea? Try to cheer them up. Okay, that's one thing we can do. Try to cheer them up. Any other ideas? Kathy? Do something with them. Spend time with them. Yep, that always helps too. Okay, any other ideas? Ellie? Give them a hug. Mm-hmm. Reverend Danielle?
Bring them to church.
Bring them to church. Yep. Abby? Ask them what they need, right. Any other ideas? Yep. Listen to them, yep. Talk to them and listen to them. So those are ways that we can take care of each other. And when I broke my leg, a lot of the people in this church took care of me. They brought me food for like a month. I got all this delicious food. And one of the members of this church drove me to a lot of my doctor's appointments because I couldn't drive then. And somebody made me chocolate cupcakes and brought me cupcakes over. So there's people in this church that we take care of each other, and that's one of the things that we do as Unitarian Universalists. So, any other ideas on things you can do in church to help the church? Ellie? Donate food to the pantry. Good idea. Let's add that to our glass. Anyone else? How about volunteering in a committee? That's one way to help the church. Yep. Donate money to the church. Yep, that's another way to help the church. Yep. Another idea? What would you say? Care for the people like everyone cared for me. Yep. Mm-hmm. Join the choir. Abby?
Come to different events and celebrations.
Come to different things at church. Yep. Okay, so we have this glass full of all these generous things that we can do. We can do these things when we see people that are sad. We can do these things to help each other in church. And what's going to happen with this egg? Ellie, it's going to float. You think it's going to float? And it floats because we did all these generous things to help people that were sinking float. It's because I added salt, exactly. Yep. The egg looks bigger because it's like the way that the water makes everything looks bigger in there. So there's actually about 3 tablespoons of salt in there. I added salt long before today because that wouldn't have been enough. So that's why it floats. But even though this isn't really generosity in there, it's kind of a fun way to talk about generosity, right? It's not a bad egg, you're right. It's not a rotten egg. Okay, now it's time for the children's blessing. Okay, ready? We are blessed. We are blessed by being. We are blessed by being here. We are blessed by being here together. And now join in singing As We Go, which is in your order of service.
As you go, may your heart be at peace and flow to nurture the spark of your love. We hold you in our home. As Leanne shared, there are many ways we give to the life of this church, keeping one another afloat. I just made that up. I'm kind of proud of that. Anyways, where were we? Yes, the monetary offering is just one of these ways. Each month we partner with a local organization that is doing really great work in our community, and we share the money that we gather. Our partner for November is HALO, the Homeless Assistance Leadership Organization. HALO is dedicated to restoring dignity to those who feel they have lost theirs because they are temporarily experiencing homelessness. HALO's mission is to provide a pathway to self-sufficiency and housing stability for persons experiencing homelessness in Racine County. We are delighted to be sharing our offering with such an important and meaningful organization in our community. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you for all of the ways you are making this church, Olympia Brown, possible. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. These words are kind of a wild compilation of my own, Reverend Kristen Graschel-Schmidt, Katie Bowler, and Jessica Ritchie. If you'll join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Blessed are you, faced with the impossible. You who do not take your eyes away from what threatens to swallow you whole. You who stare down reality, though your heart quickens. You for whom action comes swiftly as you chart the next step or bulldoze a new path for yourself. You who know how to turn hope into action, and bless you for it. Blessed are you who, when you come to the end of what is possible, find the courage to live there too, accepting that the things that are unchangeable and finding beauty and meaning and love live there too. You know what it means to have a life held together by so many loves, by so much to lose. Blessed are we who are learning how to hope and love and ask for help and share with one another. Part of being in community is sharing our lives with one another, sharing our joys, our sorrows, our fears, our hopes. In just a moment, I invite you to come forward and light a candle. Or if you raise your hand, we'll bring a microphone. We're going to do some sharing this morning, sharing of the joys, the sorrows that are on our hearts. If you're sharing aloud, I invite you to share briefly, focusing on your own heart. What is yours this morning? And a reminder that what we share is on YouTube. I invite you forward to light a candle. Raise your hand if you would like to share aloud. We will light a candle for the joys and sorrows that are on the hearts of our beloveds that are joining us online this morning. And we'll light a final candle for those joys and sorrows that are on our hearts. This morning, as we continue in this space for prayer and meditation, this morning we lift up all veterans, all those who the generations who've served in the armed forces. We pray for their family and friends whose loved ones were sent forth in danger in all of our names, many of whom never returned or didn't return to be the same. We lift up the many women who have yet to be acknowledged as veterans and the many LGBTQ veterans who could not be out during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, whose partners and families didn't receive the open support that other veterans' families did. To say thank you to our veterans for their service. Their sacrifice will never be enough, and so we pray this morning for strength, for commitment, and healing. Strength to embrace all of our veterans, commitment to care for each and every one of them in the fullness of who they are, and healing for our country and our world, so that one day nations won't need to send people into danger to solve complex problems. May we each do our part to work for justice, for it is only when justice is present that peace is possible. Blessed are we who are learning how to hope and how to let go, when to act, when to stop, holding together two irreconcilable truths: that our lives are so valuable precisely because we have so much to fear with this much to love. Amen and blessed be. Let's have just a moment of shared quiet to pray, to meditate, or to dream. Amen. I invite you to join me in singing, "There is a love holding me, there is a love holding us." The words are in your order of service. In order to build the movements capable of transforming our world, we have to do our best to live with one foot in the world we have not yet created. These words by Aurora Levins Morales. Imagine with me, imagine it's 2050. Right now, it's 2050. We've achieved our wildest hopes for climate justice. What does that world look like? I'm going to ask again. Imagine it's 2050. we've achieved our wildest hopes for climate justice, what does it look like? Just yell it out for me. It's green. There's trees everywhere. No fires, those big wildfires. Zero carbon manufacturing. People use clotheslines and just enjoy that smell, right? Yeah. The ocean is cooler. Oh, thus no plastic. Plastic is banned. Unlimited energy. Clean drinking water for everybody. Global unity. Huh? Ample water for everyone. In order to build movements capable of transforming our world, we have to do our best to live with one foot in the world we have not yet created. Our Side with Love campaign offered the webinar, Abolitionist Views on Climate Justice. And this is the question that they were asked. And the panelists shared their visions, similar to what we shared here, collective ways of living, world free from fossil fuels. They said the highways would be used for artwork. Isn't that beautiful? And deep, deep community care. One of the panelists was our UUA president, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, and she shared the importance of naming, holding, listening to, and creating these great visions for what could be. That's our role as faith communities, to share and hold these visions. She explained that so often we are told the same story over and over and over again, a story of complete impossibility. Things, systems cannot change, we're told. This is just the way they are and will always be. That's human nature. That's just how things are. And this story of impossibility is told with intention. If told often enough, it will wear down vision, wear down hope, to make the work feel so impossible, so insurmountable, that folks stop trying at all. And this is where she continues, the work of faith communities become incredibly important. Faith communities can share stories, ideas, visions for countercultural living based on values, grounded in a shared understanding of what it means to be human, about our deep rootedness and connectedness. There was a study done which asked how generous are people when making financial decisions in the real world? How generous are people? With, as the study described, self-interest, right? So we think of self-interest as the cornerstone of modern capitalist economic system, right? Maybe we've heard that before. Maybe we've felt that before, right? And researchers in psychology and behavioral economics have argued that humans, we often act in ways that are against our self-interest. So to test this, 200 participants from Indonesia, Brazil, Kenya, Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, United States were given $10,000 with no strings attached. No strings, no thought with how they had to spend the money. They weren't sure why they were given this money. And again, from the study, to address whether generosity was driven by reputational concerns, right? How are people going to think of me and how I use this money? Half of the participants were asked to share their spending decisions on Twitter. So everything they spent, they were going to share online with their online community. And the other half were asked to keep their decisions private. On average, participants spent over $6,400 on purchases that benefited others, $1,700 on donations to charity, and the spending between the two groups, right, to test whether reputational concerns would increase generosity. What do you think? Got a yes, got a no? Who says yes? Reputation's gonna make people more generous. All right? Who says no? Yeah. So the spending between the two groups was similar. It didn't make a difference overall. Of this study, David Brooks for the New York Times offered, humanity hasn't survived all of these centuries because we are ruthlessly selfish. Humanity hasn't survived all of these centuries because we are ruthlessly selfish. We've thrived because we are really good at cooperation. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. Yeah? Yeah, sometimes we need to be reminded when the weight of the world drives us inward. When the weight of the world drives us inward for what feels like and sometimes is our own survival. May we take that moment, that rest that we need, and then may we look up, outward, and see survival lies in the eyes of one another, in great vision for what is possible. Friends, that's how we survive. On Thursday, 70 or so people gathered for a vigil outside of Green Bay Correctional Facility. And folks are going to continue to gather every Thursday until that institution is closed down. We were invited into co-created, and I promise you, sacred space outside of that prison to listen to the stories of impacted people, people who were formerly incarcerated inside the walls of that institution, and family members of people who are still inside, who shared about the conditions in this prison. The building is over 125 years old and more than 230 people over capacity. The people inside have been on a lockdown since June, right? Though this was a tactic used before then, meaning they have not been able to leave their cells since June. A bipartisan group of state lawmakers have called for this prison to be shut down because of these conditions. The vigil was led by ex-incarcerated people organizing, or EXPO, as we may hear it referred to. And this is an organization with such vision, right, that works to end mass incarceration, eliminate all forms of structural discrimination against formerly incarcerated people, and restore formerly incarcerated people to full participation in the life of their communities. These are our people that are coming home to us. These vigils are going to continue, as I said, and we're going to find ways for folks to be invited more likely. But I want to share their 90-day goals. These are their goals for the next 90 days. To order the Department of Corrections to expand community treatment alternatives and diversions by 15%. So just to imagine what that looks like, less than 1% of the Department of Corrections' almost $2.5 billion biennial budget is spent on community alternatives, right? Right, less than 1%. And there have been two major evaluations having shown that these efforts are proven cost-effective ways to enhance public safety through the rehabilitation of incarcerated people. That's one goal for the next 90 days. to expedite the process for parole and compassionate release for the thousands of old laws and elderly persons who are eligible. Approximately 14% of Wisconsin's incarcerated population is either elderly, over 65, or have served at least 20 years of their sentence. Research has shown individuals who commit offenses at a young age almost universally age out of crime by the time they're in their 40s. And to order the Department of Corrections to expand the authorized earned release program by using technology to support the thousands of individuals who are currently eligible. These are their 90-day goals, what they hope to accomplish with support. So just be ready. We'll have more ways to be involved. But here we share stories of what's possible. May we be renewed by this vision that Expo is presenting to us, right? That imagination we need to go and do the work that panelist and organizer for the UU Women's Federation, her name is Antoinette Scully, she shares as pulling people in. That's part of our work. Pull people in to then do collective work that makes liberation possible. And they offered their visions for climate justice through the lens of abolition. In the abolitionist movement, folks are called to imagine. Ready? We're going to imagine again. Imagine this world. Imagine a world where punishment is not a guiding principle. A future without imprisonment, policing, and surveillance, an entirely new model of living where all people are safely fed, housed, nourished, supported through self-governance and community support. And this world is only possible through the creation of a sustainable way of life and the goals of the climate justice movement. Did we hear some similarities in the goals that we named and this larger work that's being done? And in order to do this, to live into this vision, we have to work together, to be generous with our time, our resources, and our hearts. In transforming our Unitarian Universalist culture, stepping out of our silos and ourselves, author Pamela Spar writes, we can express wonder and awe, our love of the mystery and complexity of the web of life, and our deep desire to protect the integrity of the natural world. We can talk about how the integrity of our soul and spirit, the integrity of our soul and spirit is bound up with the well-being of others, other humans, and the more than human world. We practice what it means to be interconnected, that the health of our planet, our world, is interdependent with our relationships with one another, partnering with other visions, listening to the visions of organizations, working with folks who are most impacted, like Expo, and never giving up on that vision. In order to build the movements capable of transforming our world, we have to do our best to live with one foot in the world we have not yet created. Can we do that? We'll try. In this spirit of creation, of imagination, I have a story and a practice that I would like to share. This story comes from Starhawk. So I invite you to find a position that is very comfortable for you, whatever that looks like. Very comfortable, maybe roll out your shoulders, take a breath. You're welcome to close your eyes, soften your gaze. This is a creation story. Life on Earth was still relatively new. At first, simple, one-celled beings filled the seas, living by changing the energy patterns around them, breaking down large molecules, complex clumps of dancing energy and form into smaller clumps, using the energy released to move and dance. They filled the seas in promiscuous abundance, constantly exchanging bits of DNA. They formed one life whole, one global gene pool, one planetary well of information and experimentation. But after a time, life reached a crisis point. Life began to run out of food. There wasn't enough of these complex molecules for all of life to continue, and they began to starve and die. Yet life has always been inventive and creative. Those simple one-celled beings were already experimenting with different forms. Some were long and skinny and wriggled and swam. Some were round and fat. Some adapted to hot and some to cold. And always they were trading genes, shifting forms, changing and transforming. At that time, there wasn't yet a brain on the planet, yet life came up with something so brilliant, so amazing, that it transformed the whole of nature, the whole nature of existence, and the atmosphere itself. Life invented a mandala, a beautiful molecule, like a patterned flower with a magic quality. For when a photon of sunlight struck the heart of this pattern, it began to vibrate and shiver and set off a chain of reactions that harvested the sun's energy to turn carbon dioxide and water into food. Chlorophyll and the process of photosynthesis were life's next great invention. And the green things, the sunlight harvesters, were born. Green things filled the seas and the crevices of the shores, flung a smear of filmy life over the rock and sand. Life flourished as never before. But there was one problem. The miraculous process that used sunlight to make food gave off a waste product, a toxic gas that burned and destroyed everything it touched. And as life grew over hundreds of millions and then billions of years, the very air became polluted by this gas, so that life could no longer avoid its touch of death. But life continued to experiment and invent. Some of the tiny creatures dug down into the mud to avoid the toxic gas. Some clumped together for protection. And some discovered another miracle, that by reversing one of the moves in the dance of photosynthesis, a new process could be born. One that could take the toxic gas, which we call oxygen, and use it to burn food and make energy. And so those who breathe were born. Those who dine on the sunlight harvesters, burning their bodies as fuel for life. In burning food, those who breathe give off carbon dioxide, which the green things, with help from the sun, transform to food again. And the green things give off oxygen, which those who breathe again use in burning food. Gaia began to breathe, passing her breath back and forth from red to green, continuing to build up oxygen to transform herself. And after millions of years, Those who breathed took the mandala of chlorophyll, switched the atom at its heart to iron, and formed the hemoglobin that swims in the cells in our red blood. And so the cycle is complete, and the earth breathes in and out, red to green to red. And this air we breathe is a gift of the early ancestors. With each breath in, we take in the results of their great creativity. With each breath out, we give back. Breathe in with gratitude to the ancestors and with appreciation for the great powers of life. Breathe out with love as a conscious gift back to the green world. The air is a gift of the early ancestors. When you breathe in, this moment originated billions of years ago. The air passed through the lungs of dinosaurs and mammoths and the earliest human beings. Is there a teacher or hero from your past that you admire? A teacher or hero, call to mind their name, their image. You are breathing the same air that passed through their lungs, sharing inspiration. Breathe in with gratitude. Breathe out with love. Is there a problem you are stuck on? An issue that seems hopeless? A place where you've given up in despair? Call to mind that place, if that's where you're feeling, and just breathe in, taking in the creative power of the ancestors of life, asking that power to infuse you and help transform your issue. Breathe out with love and commitment, acknowledging your grief or pain or hopelessness, not trying to change it, but just making space within to breathe in again, filling yourself with creativity and power. Continue breathing as long as it feels right. Don't try to solve your problem instantly, just breathing into it. And trust you can shift your energies around it and open space for inspiration to come. Breathe in with gratitude. Breathe out with love. Breathe in with gratitude. Breathe out with love. Breathe in with gratitude. Breathe out with love. I invite you now to rise in body and in spirit. Join in singing hymn 1064, Blue Boat Home. Thank you. You may be seated. We extinguish our chalice. But not the light of this community. That light cannot be extinguished, for it lives in each of us, reminding us that we are connected, held always in a larger love. For our benediction, these words inspired by Reverend Karen Hutz. Everyone, if you would like to start rubbing your hands together briskly. Rub, 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 rub. Keep rubbing, keep rubbing, keep rubbing. The time is now. Keep rubbing, keep rubbing. The time is now. Keep going. Add your own intention. Maybe there's something on your heart to add. The time is now. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And stop. Hold your hands about 10 inches apart. Feel that power, the energy, the electricity we just made. That pressure we will put on systems that cannot win against the energy we just created and will continue to create. Pushing against, pushing forward. In order to build the movements capable of transforming our world, we have to do our best to live with one foot in the world we have not yet created. May it be so, so may it be. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go forth in power. Go forth in power and love until we return again.